Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Jervis. I'm the director for North Carolina Science Olympiad, and I want to take a few minutes and go over, what is the tournament season going to look like this year for our middle and high school students. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just go through a slide deck and just kind of talk this through for this season. Okay, so 2022. So for those of you who were with us last year, it's going to look much the same as the state tournament did. In some ways, the regional tournaments from last year. For those of you who are coming back, thanks for joining us again this year. Thanks for taking this on amidst everything else that's going on. And let me explain to you a little bit about what this is going to look like. So this is going to be a satellite tournament season, which means that the students should be together at school, and you as the coach or coaches, depending on your team, should be there monitoring what's going on and helping them with any tech issues that they might have. All of the content events are going to be tested on one day for the whole state of North Carolina, and that is February 5th. That's it. That's our only day. Last year, we split it up into 2 Saturdays. This year, we're just going to have one, kind of bust through them with no real breaks during the day. Hopefully, your students will be able to move from event to event. Some of our construction events, however, we canceled some events last year because it was hard to figure out how to run those. This year, we're going to have them, and what we're going to do is some sort of appointment system where you drive to a central location, you shoot your bottle rockets, you test your bridge, you fly your planes, and you you can test your sounds of music if you're in Division B, and we're going to sign up for times for that. You'll come probably to the place you always go when it comes to tournament season. Maybe not. We've got some new sites this year and some ones that have rotated out for a little while, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, if it was a station event, if it's typically a station event, if it's something like ornithology, then it will be run in Nearpod, which we ran last year. It works just like a Kahoot or any of the other educational software systems where they game through multiple choice or short answer questions. This is a question from an elementary test, but it works the same. You're given a picture or a scenario when you're asked to answer questions. Students will be working together to submit one test, and they do timeout. So that's what makes it look like a station test. That's why we really liked this last year. It gives that same sense of moving through a room, having to identify something quickly, answer questions about it. And so we'll be using that again this season. More long form tests, things like Dynamic Planet, probably some of the physics events will be run through a Google form. Experimental design gets turned in through a Google form. If you have to upload something, it'll require a Google sign-in. If you don't have to upload anything, documentation at the end of it, then you won't have to sign in. You'll just put your information, who you are and what school you're with, and submit it. Our biggest problem with this last year was timing out. So if the event ran from 1 to 2, usually by 2:05, we had stopped the form from accepting any more responses. And if students hadn't submitted by then, their screen still showed the Google form was open when they went to hit submit, then they wouldn't submit. So it'll be really important with you, especially. This should work better in a school where you kind of can watch over what's going on, that you set some timers and that so they know when the time is up. And it will clearly say that at the start of every test, you have until 10:50 to take this test, or you have until 11:25 to take this test, and then it needs to be submitted. So we give a little buffer there of probably of 5 minutes maybe, so that we know that everyone's has come in and you've got time to turn that in, but it can't be here. We won't accept that. Some events are camera on. I'm going to go over this list in just a minute, but that means you'll come into some sort of Zoom waiting room. You and your partner will check you in, go through all the things that we always do. Who are you? What school are you with? What team are you? Varsity, JV1, JV2, JV3, for some of you who are crazy enough to have 4 teams. And the events judges will judge you live on what it is that you're doing. The in-person construction events will vary by tournament, but for the most part, what we expect is that on a Saturday that is not February 5th, and probably it will be a Saturday much closer to when you're used to competing. Every part of the state has its kind of own weekend the tournaments are typically held. So it'll be around there. Those states are, for the most part, published on our tournament webpage. We're still waiting on confirmation from a few sites so that we can put those final dates up there. But just the students who need to test a bridge or a bottle rocket or a plane need to come with an adult. It's not your whole team that has to show up at the tournament. So you'll be able to just come in a small group. You can, your students can test their devices and then they will be able to leave. Okay, so here's what the schedule looks like. For Division B and Division C, we do have time blocks. Those are identical to the conflicts that are at the in the national level. So you may ask, why are some of the events different? And the reason that we've switched out some of the events in North Carolina, where you see things that say North Carolina only rules, especially at the Division C level, we had a hard time coming up with ways to run Wi-Fi lab, detector building, and it's about time in a way where we felt that we could accurately and fairly judge devices while you weren't with us. So we instead opted out of those events. We put in some things, quite honestly, that we hope are a little bit fun for you guys. Picture this, Pictionary, always kind of a fun one. Fast Facts we ran last year. It's a piece of gaming software as well, and it's how fast you can answer the correct science trivia questions. And then mystery architecture. We had a good time with mystery architecture last year. So that can be camera on, and that can be, you'll be in a Zoom with a bunch of other students, just like you would be if you were in person at a tournament. You'd all be in a room. We'll give you a bag of supplies or tell you what supplies, quite honestly, what supplies you need very soon so that you can practice. And then we'll give you some sort of mystery thing to build. So these events will run every hour. So, they're 50-minute events. For the most part, we would build in a little bit of a buffer there. So like 8 to 8:50 would be disease detectives in both divisions. And then you'll have a quick breather before they start up again at 9:10 and then 10:20, et cetera. So we're going to run through all 6 periods during the day on February 5th, and you'll self-schedule into several events. So the gravity vehicle, picture this, mission, mousetrap, will all be camera on, and you'll sign up for a time to join in the room and be judged. And our event leaders have done a great job in the coaches clinic of talking through the logistics of how that will work, like what's going to be measured. If you were part of our regionals last year, there was a lot of frustration in the car events because you uploaded a bunch of pictures and videos, but the students didn't always measure or show correctly certain metrics that we needed. And so we had to tier the cars or add penalties to the cars. This year, it worked much better at states when we had a live interaction. So we're going to be running an incredible number of rooms because our car team and our mission team are going to be a statewide team, and they're going to be judging all the cars for the entire state in one day. So you'll check into a room, and then you'll be pushed out into breakout rooms which will be our tracks. So at the bottom of this screen, you'll see the events that we're going to run in person, and we're running them in person because they're incredibly hard to judge virtually, and you may or may not have the equipment to do that. So bottle rockets, we traded out ping pong parachute for bottle rockets because it allows us to be outside this year. And that's one less thing where we have to worry about a gym and being inside for any length of time. So we'll shoot rockets this year instead. We will be building in bridges and breaking them. We will not be using the CAD software this year. I hope that you enjoyed. If you were part of that last year, you did that. You can certainly use it to help you build this year, but we'll be building balsa bridges and breaking them. Trajectory, so you'll be, and Storm the Castle, you're gonna be throwing, catapults are finally back, yay! And so it's time to throw some racquetballs and tennis balls. That's much better done in person. And then many of you asked if we could please do the planes in person. We had talked about having you fly planes at your own schools, but a lot of you don't have gyms, and a lot of your gyms are different sizes. And so to make that even across the board. We're just going to have you come fly it at our host sites. In Division B, we also will be testing your devices, your musical instruments in person. And so Sounds of Music will be one more that we'll be doing around the state throughout the month of February and March in order to qualify for the state tournament. So that's what this year is going to look like. There are still some questions to be answered. There are still some bumps in the road. I desperately would like to see all of you in person, crowded into a gym, but this year we won't be headed that direction, at least for regionals. We are, fingers crossed, going to have an in-person state tournament, but that really just depends on how the pandemic looks and what your schools will allow and what NC State will allow us to do on their campus. So if need be, we will follow a very similar schedule for the state tournament, but we are hoping that we'll be able to see you in person for states. So to get started, don't forget, you can download the free manuals, the user manuals from the national website, soinc, SOINC.org, and you register, just tell them who you are. They're trying to just keep track of how many people are using their manuals, and take the rule books, take them apart, right? And start to look through those rules, and so that you can start to study. There are resources available on the website. And most importantly, if you're interested in coming to the Coaches Clinic, that is live on October 2nd, but if you can join in at any time, we're uploading all of the presenters presentations, all the event leaders presentations through our course, so that you can use them throughout the year anytime you want to have reference to them. So even if you come after the fact, you didn't get it done by October 2nd, that's okay. Those will all be available to you to watch. And they're doing a great job of just kind of giving you some resources and walking through what it is you'll see at the tournament. So good luck. You know where to find us. All of our information is, of course, on our website at ncscienceolympiad.ncsu.edu. And if you're seeing this video, you're either on that website or clicking through it on our email. And so you know how to get a hold of us, ask us questions, let us know how we can help you. We are here for you. We hope that we can see some of you in person in the spring, and good luck this season.